early pre-colonial era, contacts between the peoples of the Philippines and Cambodia might have happened as far back as the 6th century. The vast network of trade routes established by the Malays throughout Southeast Asia has paved the way for the contact between these two people. In fact, in December of 2010, 2 years ago, a flotilla of balangays. Balangay is a wooden sail ship of pre-colonial design. They landed in Sihanoukville, Cambodia. The team was led by a certain Mr. Arturo Valdez, and its Filipino crew demonstrated how the Southeast Asian seafarers during those times travel from one country to another, from one island to another island in the region. Now, during the early French colonial era, the Spanish government in Manila or in the Philippines attempted to interfere in the tribal wars here in Indochina. They sent an expeditionary force composed of Spanish officers with Filipino as soldiers. But I think that expedition ended in a failure. That was around 16th century. Again, contact was re-established in early 19th century when the Spanish government again agreed to help the French command here in Indochina by sending a set of a flotilla of forces again, led by 4 Spanish captains and with Filipino as soldiers, both cannoneers and bombardiers. And I think the Filipino contingent then played a critical role in the storming and capture of Da Nang, Vietnam in 1858. Likewise, in 1859, they were also part of the contingent which stormed and captured Saigon, Vietnam also. These forces under the French command played a major role in those activities performed by the French command in Indochina, such that when Cambodia became a French protectorate, part of that Filipino contingent was moved to Cambodia in Phnom Penh, and they were made as Royal Palace Guards and cannoneers under King Norodom I. In 1872, King Norodom I visited Manila as part of his goodwill tour of several countries. And before he left Manila for Phnom Penh, Cambodia, he made arrangement to bring a contingent of Filipino musicians. So these Filipino musicians, when they arrived in Phnom Penh, formed the Royal, it became famous here in Cambodia, Royal Brass and Reed Band. And likewise, King Norodom I promoted those Filipino militias, which later on they called Tagalog militias. So these Filipino militias, together with the Filipino musicians, finally settled in Phnom Penh and the outlying provinces until they married into Cambodian and Vietnamese families. Now, one of the sons, or a son of one of the Filipino musicians by the name of General Sostenes Fernandez, became the chief of police of Phnom Penh, later on a politician, and later on, when General Lon Nol deposed King Sihanouk and established the Republic of Kampuchea, he appointed General Fernandez as the Commander-in-Chief of the Khmer National Armed Forces. So right there from that very start, Filipinos were already here during those times. In the contemporary times, I think 1992 and 93, Philippine soldiers and policemen were commissioned as peacekeepers under the United Nations Transitory Authority in Cambodia. We call it the UNTAC. And that paved the way for the holding of the first democratic election here in Cambodia and the establishment subsequently of the constitutional monarchy type of government in Cambodia, which is the one existing until now. Formal diplomatic relations between Philippines and Cambodia were formally established when then Ambassador T. Kim Soor of Cambodia presented his credential to then President Carlos P. Garcia in 1957. During that time, we have no embassy here in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. So the running or the managing of the Philippine interest in Cambodia was done through our Philippine embassy in Saigon during that time. That was from 1957 to 1965. In 1965, during the time of President Marcos, we opened our own Philippine embassy in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, with Ambassador Rogelio de la Rosa as our first ambassador then. Ambassador de la Rosa was able to establish a very, very close relationship with King Sihanouk, the late King Sihanouk now, Norodom Sihanouk. In fact, he was recalled in 1971 as the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps in Cambodia during those times. So he stayed from 1965 to 1971. However, in 1975, when the Khmer Rouge's victory is becoming imminent, the Philippine government was forced to close our embassy here in Cambodia. And this was only reopened and re-established in 1995 with Ambassador General Telmo Conanan, the one initiating the reopening and the establishment of our new embassy. And since then, the Philippine Embassy in Cambodia is exercising jurisdiction and management of Philippine interest here in Cambodia. Cambodia and the Philippines has a very excellent bilateral relations. Both countries until now is continuing its effort to strengthen cooperation in areas which are of mutual interest and benefit. In fact, other than that, we still continue our dialogues, consultations, and this process is being coursed through what we call as Joint Conference on Bilateral Cooperation. We call it the JCBC. And the last JCBC was held in December of 2011. Actually, that was also the venue or the forum wherein both countries reviewed the existing past memorandum of understanding and agreement signed from 1995 up to 2011. And there were, I think, seven or eight memorandum of understanding and agreement signed in the past. So it was a review of those signed documents. Likewise, because of that JCBC in December, it paved the way for the signing of another memorandum of agreement on air services, which was done in February of 2012. That memorandum of agreement for air services paved the way for the launching of the direct flight between Manila and Siem Reap, between the Philippines and Cambodia. which is 3 times a week, and it is being serviced by Cebu Pacific. This was launched in April 19 of this year. And again, I would like to say that the direct flight opened the door for increased tourism, increased trade and commerce, increase in people-to-people connectivity, in lots of things. We just hope that that direct flight from Manila to Siem Reap will sooner or later also establish for another direct flight, maybe from Manila to Phnom Penh, because most of the Filipinos there are more Filipinos here in Phnom Penh than in Siem Reap. So with that, still both countries continues to exert effort, continues to work, both countries continue to work together, strengthen our bilateral relations in areas now, in areas culture, sports, law enforcement, and in fact, on the subject of law enforcement, I would like to announce that we have completed the review. Both countries, Cambodia and Philippines, have completed the review of that draft, and both parties agreed on that draft of that memorandum of agreement on combating transnational crimes and terrorism. So what is left is the formal signing of that memorandum of agreement, and we have agreed that we will do that immediately after we finish with the ongoing ASEAN summit and related summits. So I foresee either December or maybe the first quarter of 2013. So basically, that's the overview and the highlight of the Cambodia and Philippine bilateral relation. First, I'd like to say that it is not only the 21st ASEAN Summit. There are 6 other related summits. So I'd like to, for the 21st ASEAN Summit involves only the 10 member states of ASEAN. But we have also summits with our dialogue partners. And permit me to enumerate. We have the 15th ASEAN-China Summit. We have the 15th ASEAN-Japan Summit. We have the 15th ASEAN-South Korea Summit. We have the ASEAN +3 Commemorative Summit. We have the 10th ASEAN-India Summit. We have the 4th ASEAN-US Leaders Dialogue with President Obama, and the 7th East Asian Summit. Actually, this year is the 45th founding anniversary of ASEAN, because it was founded and established in 1967. It is also the second time that Cambodia will be assuming the chairmanship of ASEAN. Cambodia joined ASEAN in 1999, and 3 years later, in 2002, they assumed their first chairmanship. And the highlight of that chairmanship in 2002 was the signing of the ASEAN-China of the Declaration of Conduct of Parties in South China Sea, which is the DOC, which is supposed to be the legal instrument which will form the basis of the drafting or the crafting of the Code of Conduct, the COC, which we have been trying to push. The ASEAN members still are trying to push for this 2012. So we can say that this year of 2012 is also the 10th anniversary of the signing of that DOC. Now, on the aspect of the chairmanship, I would say that ASEAN as an organization has made progress in the 3 pillars of the ASEAN community, because the thrust of the ASEAN is to establish one community by 2015. And that one community has 3 pillars: the ASEAN Political Security Community, the ASEAN Economic Community, the ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community, and the Cambodia as a chair has adopted such theme as one community, one destiny. And I think we have made progress since for this 2012, even since the July thing that you were asking me a while ago. There are contentious issues, of course, but overall, I could say that positively we are making progress towards that. The contentious issues are only part of the so many issues that we're going to consider. There are issues on human rights. There are issues on disaster risk management, connectivity, tourism, culture, pandemics, so many issues. And overall, I could safely say that the ASEAN as a group, whichever is the chair, is progressing toward this goal of establishing a one community by 2015. The government, with of course our president, will continue to push or advocate maritime security and cooperation, protection and welfare of migrant workers, human rights, review of the ASEAN Charter, because I think we are recommending that we reduce the summit into only one for every year. Because for the last so many ASEAN meeting, always two, July and November. So those are one of the things that we are recommending. Officially, there are 3,497 Filipinos in Cambodia. I said officially because this is the number of Filipinos who registered in the consular office or in the embassy. But in my estimate, I could safely say that maybe between 5,000 to 6,000 Filipinos are here. There are some Filipinos who are working and staying quite far from where the embassy is situated here in Phnom Penh. Like some are working at the borders of Vietnam and Cambodia. Some are at the borders of Thailand and Cambodia. So they really do not have time to come here and register and be issued the ID that we are issuing. That is free, actually. So on our end here, what we normally do, we send the mobile consular team, no, on a periodic rate, no, or we send a team to Babet in the border of Vietnam. We send to Pailin. We send to, and we have to time it on the day that they do not have work. That's one way of us accounting really of how many Filipinos here in Cambodia. The other one is sometimes, even if it is holiday or if it is a weekend, Saturday or Sunday, we open the embassy and announce to them that we are open. Because most of the Filipinos here have work from Monday to Friday or even Saturday. So they cannot just go out and leave and just go here and register. So this is the other option that we are doing. Now I am proud to say that the Filipinos here in Cambodia are gainfully employed. They are engaged in lot of sectors. So the following sectors, they are engaged in garments and textile sector, in academic institutions. There are lots of teachers and consultants here and tutors, almost 700 or 800. Maybe that explains why, because we are one of those who can really speak English. No? They are engaged in hotel and restaurant, in casinos and gambling establishments, in civil society organizations, in non-government organizations, and even as volunteers in some missionary organizations. So we are really proud that we Filipinos are much better here. And it's less headache to me as the ambassador here in Cambodia. As a result of my dialogue with them, interaction with them, joining them in some like basketball, opening of basketball tournament. Sometimes they hold bingo sessions here. I think I am confident to say that the Filipinos here have a high admiration to the Philippine government under the President Aquino in its fight against corruption, as well as in the government's effort to improve the economic situation in the country. I'm very confident about it. They were apprehended because of drugs. How do you call that? Couriers. So the only thing that we do, there's no such Filipino here imprisoned or detained because of petty crimes, that I can tell you. These Filipinos detained us because of being caught as drug couriers. And sad to say, we can only extend assistance by seeing to it that there is due process and the rights are respected. But we do not interfere with the justice system here. We conduct visitations once or twice a week. Our consular people there, we bring all their personal necessities requirement, toilet articles and so on and so forth, even money sometimes, some food, sardines and so on and so forth. That's so far the most that we have done. Then we inform their next of kin or their relatives in Manila of the status. Sometimes we hire lawyers pro bono pagkakilala natin to help them in the trial. But really, it's really hard. No? We have to, even in the Philippines, when we talk of drugs, that is something. No? So sad to say, if not all, I think all of those Filipinos detained are because of being a drug courier. In the Philippines, strict immigration, not here. Because here it's quite, because we have no visa requirement. You can even get a visa here on arrival. So in our country, that is where the problem is always. And they always complain about that. I think they even raised the issue before when Secretary of Labor came here. They even raised that issue. And we, ambassadors in Indochina, made a meeting, I think in April. It was hosted by Ambassador in Thailand. And we talked about this. And just last month, Brunei was tasked to initiate a sort of a lecture and briefing by this concerned agency, the ICAT and the Bureau of Immigration. They just finished there in Brunei, and this issue of this being offloaded in Manila was really a hot issue. And first, they resolved the constitutional provision of the right to travel. And the Department of the ICAT and the Immigration said that that is not absolute right, because there are laws which limit or influence the implementation of that right to travel. So what was, and then the Bureau of Immigration there, if my memory serves me right, when I read the copy of the report, is that continuous yung briefing, lecture, and seminar to immigration people, and not to ask degrading questions to the Filipinos. And there's a lot of things, but this is being taken care of by the Bureau of Immigration and Department of Justice. And in that seminar, they even suggested also that maybe the Department of Foreign Affairs and the OMWA, Office of Migratory Workers, should be part of the ICAT. This is a continuing process to eliminate these injustices or abuse of discretion. But at the same time, we agree also that we have to do something about it, because there's a lot also of Filipinos who became victims of illegal trafficking in persons. And they became nakakaawa po pagdating doon sa bansang supposed to be there's a very, very lucrative job offered to them, and it turned out to be something else. So we have to balance all these things, and this is a continuing process. I look forward really to the success of this ASEAN summit and other related summits. I look forward to the success of Cambodia as the chair, because I think the success of Cambodia as the chair would mean success for ASEAN. And the Philippines being a member of ASEAN would also mean a success for the Philippines. So whichever is the chairman, whether Cambodia or anybody else, the success of ASEAN will also be a success for the Philippines. After all, ASEAN is one of the cornerstones of Philippine foreign policy. And we will, the Philippines, I think, will actively participate and do our duties and responsibilities, and take part in whatever endeavor to attain that one ASEAN community by 2015.